Breaking news coming out today, July 9th, 2025, in the past couple of hours, as we're hearing that Iran has just threatened to assassinate Donald Trump and to strike the U.S. Take a look at the latest headlines with me. Iran says that it could assassinate a sunbathing Trump at Mar-a-Lago. The Supreme Leader ally says. Here's another one I'm going to share with you. Donald Trump responds to Iran's Mar-a-Lago assassination threat, what it is that he had to say. And take a look. Just a couple days ago, I let you know Iranian clerical calls to assassinate, to kill Trump spreads. It attracts alleged fundraising. People are now raising funds to see Trump assassinated. And this comes as we're hearing that Israel, and this coming out in the past 48 hours, they think that Trump could give them the green light to attack Iran again, saying, let's go ahead and just get rid of Iran, the regime, and these calls to assassinate Trump, to bring death to the United States, to bring death to Israel. Let me know. Do you think that would be a good idea for Donald Trump to give Israel the green light to just strike and destroy Iran? If you think so, put yes in the comments. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts. And take a look at this. I shared with you just 2 days ago that the NATO chief came out and he predicted that China and Russia, they could come out and set off World War III. He said, let's not be naive about this. And he's specifically saying that the adversaries of the United States could come out, unify against the U.S., and issue attacks. And that is the major concern. Not one particular nation, but all of them unifying and coming together. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I'm seeing a lot of yeses pouring in, people saying yes, they think that the United States and Israel should just strike Iran. Go ahead and hit them. And I'm seeing those yeses pouring in. And I see Paul say, don't just threaten to assassinate Trump. We're going to see what unfolds here now. I'm going to share with you the details. I'm seeing lots of yeses coming in saying hit Iran. I see Anna saying take care of business. We don't have time for this, USA. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Steve, you got me sick, says Andy. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Andy. Yes, and thank you for the well wishes and the prayers. I've been recovering, starting to feel a little bit better, but have not been posting as much. But let me get you caught up on the latest of this coming out today, July 9th, 2025, as we're hearing that Iran is threatening the United States. And if you think that we're going to be going to war, put a 3 in the comments. If you think no, we're going to be able to avoid it, put a 4. But as I mentioned, we've been hearing that there are warnings coming out just in the past 48, 72 hours of World War III coming. If you think things are going to be escalating, drop a 3. If you think no, put a 4. But if you think things are going to be escalating, you might want to safeguard yourself and your family. And that's why today I wanted to mention Lear Capital. My partners over there, they are trying to help people out with getting their investments sorted, investing in gold and silver. If it's something you've been wanting to do, they've got free guides. They just sent me some of them. Help you go ahead and take the next steps. You can call them at 1-800-411-2430. Totally free advice. They're trying to help people get on track, helping people out for over 27 years. Or you can go to learram.com. Let them know that you heard about them from my channel, and they'll be able to help you out. No pressure, no obligation, just getting you information that you need if you want to make sure that you and your family's investments are taken care of. If you're concerned that things are going to be escalating, if you're dropping those 3s in the comments, check out my friends over at Lear Capital. And I'm still seeing 3s pouring in. A lot of people saying, yeah, they think that is the way we are going. But let's go ahead and get right to it. Let me go ahead and play for you some video footage coming out on this so you can see it for yourself. Now, before we dive in, do me a favor. If you haven't done so yet, you appreciate the breaking news updates. This video just coming out in the past 4 or 5 hours as we're hearing about this. Hit that like button for me. If this is your first time here, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, play the videos, read right from it, so you know it is the latest. But let's dive right in so you can see it for yourself.
I do want to take you out to this developing story that we are covering here at this hour, as there is a bizarre threat from a top Iranian official saying Iran could assassinate President Trump as he tans outside of his luxury home in Florida. Take a look at your screen here. Iran International translating the statement from Iranian television made earlier today by Mohammad Javad Larijani while reportedly laughing at the time. He's a senior advisor to Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. That translated quote, I'm going to pull it up on your screen right here. Again, this is coming from Iran International. You can see it right there. As it does say, Trump has done something that he can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago. As he lies there with his stomach to the sun, a small drone might hit him in the navel. It's very simple. Again, that is a translation there provided by Iran International. Now, those comments, again, from the Iran International publication reportedly made on Iranian television came after the appearance of what's been called a quote-unquote blood pact. It's an online platform raising money for what it calls retribution against those who mock and threaten the supreme leader. And that pact does claim to have raised more than $40 million. All of this comes as President Trump has met with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu several times this week to talk about a potential ceasefire deal that could temporarily pause the war in Gaza. The two leaders talked over dinner Monday at the White House, then again last night, as Netanyahu does continue his trip to Washington, D.C., meeting with a lot of top U.S. officials. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff saying that he hopes to have an agreement in place by the end of the week for a 60-day deal. That temporary truce would secure the release of 10 living hostages, as well as the bodies of 9 of those deceased. The Israeli Prime Minister also saying that he has recommended President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. The president is credited with generating a truce between Israel and Iran several weeks ago, and this is the latest in a series of visits to the U.S. by Netanyahu amid the war. President Trump has said that he will work to end the war in Gaza despite pushback from Netanyahu, who has stated that the war cannot end until Hamas is no longer a threat and is no longer involved in ruling Gaza. Again, that threat here coming in, translated by Iran International. We'll keep you updated as we do get more information, but that does say a senior Iranian official said that Donald Trump can no longer safely sunbathe in his luxury Florida home, warning the U.S. president could be killed while lying out in Mar-a-Lago as threats against the premier's life continue.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And do you think that the United States should just strike Iran, like we're hearing that Israel is saying they are prepared for? Again, if you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts. Now, let's take a look at Trump's response to this, just coming out a couple hours ago, so that way you can see it for yourself.
An Iranian official who says you, President Trump, have done something that he can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago. As you lie there with your stomach to the sun, a small drone might hit you in the navel. It's very simple. Do you think that's a real threat? And when is the last time you went sunbathing anyway?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I don't know. Maybe I was around 7 or so. I'm not too big into it.
An Iranian.
So there you have it. Donald Trump kind of just laughing it off. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think the same thing? Do you think that these threats from Iran are empty? A lot of people feeling like Iran is barking, but they've got no bite, so to speak. And there's just a lot of bravado in the Middle East, as they're saying that Israel absolutely devastated Iran and that the United States came in, bombed the nuclear facilities, and got back to the United States, and Iran wasn't even able to respond. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. However, we're hearing that there are still threats being issued, and there is still the concern. Carrie, thank you for the super chat. I see you. Appreciate that a ton. About potential retaliation that Iran is threatening of. Potential retaliation of U.S. air bases being hit in the Middle East, and also the major concern was sleeper cell attacks. Sleeper cells, individuals from Iran that are part of their proxy groups, have made their way into the United States. We've heard the warnings from the FBI for quite some time that they're here in various cities throughout the United States, set up, ready to attack, ready to initiate, just waiting for the word. And they will coordinate this to simultaneously attack critical infrastructure systems, physical attacks. There's concerns about suitcase nukes, dirty bombs here in the United States. Let me know, are you concerned about sleeper cells? If yes, put yes. If no, put no. Let me know your thoughts, but a lot of people saying this could be the major concern of potential attacks against the United States. Now, let's take a look at this article, though, here, as we're hearing that Iran could assassinate a sunbathing Trump at Mar-a-Lago. This article coming out just today says an ally of the Iranian supreme leader joked that Iran could assassinate President Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Trump can no longer sunbathe in a Mar-a-Lago because while he's lying down, a micro drone might target and strike him right in the navel. And this coming from that Larijani, a regime figure and advisor to the supreme leader of Iran's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Larijani laughed as he made the remark on the Iranian television, which was broadcast on Wednesday, July 9th, as a part of a discussion about the country's military technology. Why it matters? Larijani's comments were reported by London-based network Iran International, which noted they followed the appearance of online platform Blood Pact that is raising funds for retribution against those who mock and threaten the supreme leaders. So as I mentioned to you in that previous article, they're actually raising funds to try to assassinate Trump. And we heard that this was also against Netanyahu as well. Larijani's remarks, even if intended as a joke, will add to the speculation over possible retaliation by the Islamic Republic against the United States for its attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities back in June. And I'm seeing yeses pouring in the comments as people are saying they are concerned about the potential threat of sleeper cell attacks in the United States. Now, here's what to know. Iran's drone technology has played a key role in Russia's war on Ukraine, with its Shahed devices devastating the country's infrastructure. Larijani said a drone might hit Trump in the navel in what appeared to be a lighthearted remark during a discussion about the merits of Iran's military technology compared with the United States. He added that, of course, we fight like men, suggesting that Iran would not do something like that. When contacted for a comment, a spokesperson for the United States Secret Service said that it could not comment on specific protective intelligence matters. We operate in a heightened and very dynamic threat environment, and the safety and security of the president and all of our protectees remains our highest priority, the statement added. Trump has been a target for assassination threats following his order in the 2020 to kill Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps General Qasem Soleimani in Iraq, with U.S. law enforcement accusing the IRGC of organizing a plot to kill Donald Trump. In January of 2022, Khamenei's official website published a video portraying Trump playing golf while a four-wheeled robot and drone seek to target him. A drone operator and a message in English appear warning that Soleimani's murderer and the one who gave the order will pay the price. Iran's top Shia cleric, Grand Ayatollah Nasser Shirazi, issued a fatwa, or religious edict, against Trump on June 29th. And I let you know about that fatwa that was issued, and they're saying they're now raising those funds to assassinate Trump. Iranian President Mossad Pezeshkian told political commentators and former Fox News host Tucker Carlson this week the fatwa issued by Shirazi had nothing to do with the Iranian government or the supreme leader. However, an op-ed in Iran's hardline newspaper called it a clear religious ruling in defense of faith. So here's what people are saying. Larijani, he said Trump can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago because while he's lying down, a micro-drone might target and strike him right in the navel. Tehran-based newspaper said avenging Trump is nearly a national demand. The Secret Service spokesperson said in a statement, to preserve operational integrity, we cannot comment on specific protective intelligence matters. However, our teams work around the clock with international, federal, state, and local partners to ensure the highest level of protection. So here's what happens next. Trump has said that U.S. military strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities have destroyed Tehran's ability to make a bomb, but concerns remain over the fate of enriched uranium, which is said to have been moved before those strikes. There will also be speculation over whether Tehran will further respond to the strikes, having launched a missile attack on U.S. base in Qatar on June 23rd. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think there is going to be additional attacks coming from Iran? And Carrie, thank you so much for the super chat. I see you. Do you think that there is going to be further war and escalation with Iran? If you think so, put a 3 for World War III, as we're hearing that things will escalate significantly if we see this. put a 4 if you think no, we're going to be able to avoid massive conflict with Iran. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But let's take a look at what it is that Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu are saying, as just yesterday we had video footage coming out as they are asked directly, is the war over? You take a listen to it. Let me know what you think from the response that we get from Trump and Netanyahu. Let's go ahead and take a look.
In your view, is the war between Israel and Iran over, or do those talks need to happen before you can?
Well, I would say that the best man to answer that is the Prime Minister. But I will tell you that in my view, I hope it's over. Yeah, I think Iran wants to meet. I think they want to make peace, and I'm all for it. Now, if that's not the case, we are ready, willing, and able. But I don't think we're going to have to be. But I think Bibi would answer that question very well.
I think the partnership between Israel and the United States, the partnership between President Trump and me, produced a historic victory. It's an incredible victory, actually. It brought the greatest capabilities of the United States that are matched with the great capabilities of Israel and the army of Israel, pilots of Israel, soldiers of Israel, and the Mossad. And the combination of these two extraordinary capacities produced a decisive result. It set back the two tumors that were threatening the life of Israel, the nuclear tumor and the ballistic missile tumor, because they were planning to build 20,000 of these things and launch it on a country the size of New Jersey. And no country could withstand that. So what do you do when you have two things that are going to kill you? You have to remove them. With our combined effort, we did. But when you remove a tumor, it doesn't mean that it can't come back. You have to constantly monitor the situation to make sure that there's no attempt to bring it back. So we've had a great achievement, and I think part of the effort of consolidating this and ensuring that we don't have to repeat this is to monitor this carefully. And of course, the President and I are talking about it, our teams are talking about it, but there's no question this is a historic victory, and I think, as was said here today, this has already changed the face of the Middle East.
But it's not over in your view.
But I think that there is an opportunity here to create a historic expansion of the Abraham Accords, which were themselves an act of history that deserve a Nobel Prize for the President. But I think the opportunities are much bigger, and I hope, I'd like to believe that Iran would not test our fortitude, because it would be a mistake.
And do you believe that regime change is still necessary there?
But I think it's up to the people of Iran.
You do.
Mr. Prime Minister, speaking on Syria, the Trump administration was fully supportive of the changes in Syria, backing the new regime there. Obviously, your government more cautious from a security standpoint. Are you comfortable with the pace of change, with the security situation vis-a-vis Syria right now?
I think there's an opportunity to explore. I think that everyone understands that the situation has changed. Before that, Iran was essentially running Syria, okay, directly through Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been brought to its knees. Iran is out of the picture. So I think this presents opportunities for stability, for security, and eventually for peace. And I think that's been opened up also by the fact that the president has opened up a channel. So they have something. There's a lot to lose by going back to conflict, and there's a lot to gain by moving towards peace. And I think that opportunity has been opened by the president and by the changed security situation which we brought about with the collapse of the Assad regime.
Are there direct talks with the Australian government?
Now, let's suppose there were. Would I answer yes? No, right?
That's my duty to ask.
Right? It's your duty to ask, and my duty to ask you back.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that there's going to be peace or war? Let me know your thoughts. But there you have it. Benjamin Netanyahu and also Donald Trump both saying that they hope that they can work towards peace But yet at the same time, we're also hearing them saying that they are ready to strike Iran if necessary. In fact, let's take a look at this article coming out in the last 48 hours. You can see this coming out July 7th, 2025. Israeli officials think that Trump could give them the green light to attack Iran again. And we had heard Donald Trump say that he was ready to strike again, and the threats are still being issued out. As we're hearing today, July 9th, 2025, they're now threatening to assassinate Donald Trump. This article says Israel is preparing for the possibility of further military actions if Iran tries to revive its nuclear program. And Israeli officials think that President Trump could give the green light renewed Israeli attacks. Now, two sources with knowledge have told Axios the path forward on the Iranian nuclear crisis will be a primary topic when Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sit down for dinner on Monday evening at the White House. Israeli officials say Netanyahu wants to reach understanding with Trump about the future U.S. nuclear negotiations with Iran and on possible scenarios that would justify renewed military strikes. Netanyahu's top advisor, Ron Dermer, told officials in closed briefings that he came away from a recent visit to Washington with the impression that the Trump administration would back new Israeli strikes on Iran under certain circumstances, sources say. So they are saying they are prepared to attack again if necessary, and we had heard Donald Trump say this before. One scenario would be an Iranian attempt to remove the highly enriched uranium inside the damaged facilities of Fordow, Natanz, or Isfahan, according to the sources. Another would be if the Iranians start rebuilding their nuclear program, particularly enriched facilities. Dermer met last week with Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and White House envoy Steve Witkoff. Israeli officials said Dermer declined to comment. And as many people are mentioning in the comments, what we're hearing is the first scenario of Iran attempting to remove highly enriched uranium. Many people are saying this has already been done. Now, Trump said twice since the 12-day war between Israel and Iran ending that the U.S. could attack Iran again in the future if it restores uranium enrichment. But he also said that he wanted to reach a negotiated settlement to avoid any further conflict. The White House did not respond to a request for comments. One key issue discussed in Dermer's meeting was Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium, which includes 400 kg enriched to 60%. Weapons-grade uranium requires about 90% enrichment, so as I've been sharing with you for quite some time, they're saying they are just right there. They're saying it probably would only take about a week or two for them to go from 60 to 90%, and with the amount of enriched uranium they have, that they could have around 9, 10, maybe a dozen nuclear warheads at their disposal ready to be used. Israeli and U.S. officials say the material is currently sealed off inside the 3 nuclear sites. The U.S. and Israel assess that those sites were significantly damaged, but that not all nuclear material or infrastructure was destroyed. Iranian President Mossad Pezeshkian said in an interview that aired Monday with Tucker Carlson that the nuclear facilities were seriously damaged, but Iran doesn't currently have access to them to accurately assess the situation. Now, the U.S. and Israeli officials say both countries' intelligence services are monitoring Iran's actions around its nuclear facilities to detect efforts to remove material or restore operations. White House envoy Steve Witkoff is planning to meet Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Oslo in the coming days to restart nuclear talks. The Iranians confirmed such a meeting is in the works, but so far no final word has been set. No final date has been set. Dermer told Israeli officials the U.S. remains committed to the principle of zero enrichment on Iran's soil in nuclear talks. So there you have it, you guys. And Israel is saying that they are prepared to strike Iran again if necessary. And we're hearing that Trump has said the exact same thing. He's saying, we are ready. Now, a lot of people saying that if Iran was to retaliate, that this would spark World War III. Now, I'm going to play for you some video footage of Benjamin Netanyahu and what it was that he had to say as he recently had some interviews with Fox. This coming out just in the past 9 hours, but let's take a look at his initial response to the United States dropping those bombs on Iran. Let me know your thoughts.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
There you have it, you guys. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you support what Donald Trump is doing and the support for Israel, drop a 47 in the comments. Now, if you don't support it and you don't like what's going on, drop a 46 for the previous administration and the way they handled things. Let me know your thoughts. Now, let's take a look at this interview that came out. And Benjamin Netanyahu is going to be discussing what's going on right now with Donald Trump, the Middle East. And he's saying that the threats, the fatwas, the assassination calls that are being set right now for Trump and for Netanyahu should be taken seriously. Let me know your thoughts. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told me last night he is close to a ceasefire in Gaza, but he stopped short of agreeing to new demands from Hamas. He also told me to expect more countries to join the Abraham Accords. Here's my exclusive with the Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Congratulations on winning this 12-day war and defeating the Iran military.
Well, it was a joint effort, and I couldn't have had a greater partner, a great leader of the free world, the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. President Trump has been amazing in our partnership, both our personal partnership and the partnership between Israel and America facilitated the strength of this victory and the fruits that we can garner from it.
I want to ask you about that. I want to talk more about the Iran process, how this all played out. But let me start with one of the reasons that you're here. And you have been meeting with President Trump about a potential ceasefire with Hamas. Where does that stand? Will you agree to some of these new recent demands of Hamas?
Well, look, we are talking about a 60-day ceasefire in which half the live hostages and half of the deceased hostages would be returned to Israel by these Hamas monsters, you know. And yes, I think we're getting closer to a deal. I think there's a good chance that we'll have it. And that's very good because we've already released, you know, they took 255 innocent people hostage, these criminals, keeping them in these dungeons, underground dungeons in horrible conditions. On the first day of the war, a very senior defense official said in Israel, you know, you have to get used to the idea that you're not going to even see one of them alive. And I said, no, I don't believe that. I think the combination of military pressure and political pressure will get them out. So far, we got 205 out. 205 and 148 alive. Now we have 20 alive left and 30 deceased. If we can get half of them now, let's do it. But I'm committed to getting all of them out and getting Hamas out of the picture too, because we're not going to keep these. You know, it's like keeping the Nazi SS. They're actually as bad, in some cases worse than the Nazis. They're not going to be there. So we get our hostages out, we're going to take out Hamas, and we're going to make sure that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel or to anyone else.
So would you be poised to agree to some of those demands, such as the UN back in charge of humanitarian food distribution?
Well, among them, but we have our own distribution system that has been established to prevent Hamas from stealing the food that is supposed to go to the population, they steal it, they take it for themselves, and the remainder they hike the prices and basically extort the Palestinian population in order to use it to continue recruiting people to their war machine, so their terror machine. So obviously, we don't want to give up the thing that we began with, which is distribution that goes directly to the people. It doesn't go through the Hamas, the Hamas pillage. I think it'll probably end up for the 60 days with both.
What about the idea that you will be able to and have the authority to reattack should they break the 60-day ceasefire?
That's obvious. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, we have the right of self-defense at any time, and I think that's widely recognized. I think on these matters, which I always prefer to negotiate not in front of a camera, I think there's a good chance we'll have this ceasefire. And that'll get us closer to the goal that I set from the beginning. Let's get them all back without capitulation.
You have been extraordinary in terms of being effective in rooting out your enemies and the evil of the world. How much more is there to do?
Well, I think we've done a lot because we've broken the Iran axis. You know, it had this monolithic, very threatening control over the Middle East. Iran was seen as a Goliath. You can't possibly challenge it. They had thousands of ballistic missiles. They had their terror machine subjugating not only the great people of Iran, but subjugating everybody else inside. They took over Iraq. They took over Syria. They took over Lebanon with Hezbollah. They took over Gaza with Hamas. They took over the mouth of the Red Sea with the Houthis and the Yemen. You know, they were invincible. And we broke them. We broke them first with the indomitable courage of our brave soldiers, with the decisions that we made that were tough, and with the spirit of the Israeli people that was, you know, they demanded and got the victory that we delivered. But it wasn't obvious, you know, when you make a decision like that. You know, we first peeled off Hezbollah. That led to the collapse of the Assad regime, and that led to the collapse of the Iranian axis. So I think it's a different Middle East. But after the 12-day war, it's an entirely different Middle East, because not only did we act there and achieve supremacy over the skies of Tehran, nobody believed that would happen, destroyed the top leadership, the top military leadership, and these you know, evil scientists that were working to develop nuclear bombs to annihilate the Jewish state. Not only did we achieve that, but President Trump came in and did something that no American president did now. He just threw away all the warnings. You know, this is going to start World War III. You're going to have boots on the ground. Thousands of Americans will be killed. No, he just applied judiciously, you know, and with great precision, these brave American pilots that showed incredible perseverance and persistence and power, and projected American power right at, you know, like hitting a nail on the head. And that helped end the war with a great joint victory.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. And there you heard him say that a lot of people have been saying World War III, and we're still hearing these warnings coming out just in the past 48 hours. And a lot of people saying that this will start with the Middle East. Let me know your thoughts now. Do you think that we are clear of this? Do you think that we are going to have peace, or are we going to have war? Let me know your thoughts. But right now what we're hearing is, as I mentioned to you, we're hearing that there are threats of assassination against Donald Trump right now at this very moment. We're hearing that he is coming out and just kind of laughing it off, as they said that they could hit him while he's sunbathing at Mar-a-Lago. But right now, man, let me know what you think. We're hearing that there is a ceasefire underway. There's a stop that's currently taking place. They're trying to get to some sort of an agreement. But Iran is saying that they want the right to enrich that uranium, so that way they can go ahead and get weapons if they so choose. They don't want anybody telling them what to do with it. And take a look. Iran could assassinate a sunbathing Trump at Mar-a-Lago, coming out today. This coming out about 4 or 5 hours ago. Donald Trump responded to that threat, and he said he hasn't sunbathed since he was 7 years old. Iranian clerical calls to kill Trump spreads, attracts alleged fundraising now to assassinate Donald Trump. And as we just saw, Israel officials, they think that Trump could give them the green light to attack Iran again because of the way that Iran is behaving surrounding their nuclear facilities. And like I said, you heard Netanyahu mention it. A NATO chief also warned, specifically talking about Iran. Iran, and then also he had mentioned, China and Russia and the threats of our adversaries, but he said not just Russia or China or any individual country, but the concern is all of them unifying together against the United States. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we're going to be having war or peace? Drop it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And again, if you think we're going to be going the direction of war, you might want to make sure that we always say here on the channel, not scared, but prepared. Be ready for anything. And also that includes your finances. And again, shout out to today's sponsors, Lear Capital, my partners over at Lear Capital. You can call them at 1-800-411-2430 if you're interested in putting some investments into gold and silver, which has just been skyrocketing in value. They've been helping people out for over 27 years. I'll go ahead and pin them in the comments for you. You can call them at 1-800-411-2430 or go to learram.com. And they can help you with that. You'll speak to a real person. They'll get you free information. They'll mail you free guides out so you can study and you can do your due diligence before investing in anything. But man, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that this is empty threats from Iran? Or do you think that we're potentially still looking at war? I'm seeing lots of war pouring into the comments. People saying that they don't trust Iran, even with the stop of the war taking place. And you even heard, I shared with you the video footage from Trump and Netanyahu. Is this done? They said they hope that they can come to some sort of diplomatic agreement, but we're hearing they're still ready to strike yet again. Man, we will see. I will keep you up to date here on the channel and let you know everything as it unfolds. Conflicts in the Middle East, things are escalating with Russia and Ukraine. They are not dying back. I shared with you just a couple of days ago, we heard from Donald Trump as he had a meeting with Putin and he said, no progress at all. And we also have the big, beautiful bill that passed. There's going to be items in there that are going to be implemented. They're saying some of the biggest tax changes in U.S. history. I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And again, if you appreciate that, do me a favor, hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it, play the video footage for you so you can see the dates, the sources. They're all hyperlinked in the description. And to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not hit that subscribe button? But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll keep you up to speed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless.